Hi, this is Carrie Schell from On Point Quilter. I have received some requests for how I create hexagon blocks using patch draw in Electric Quilt. And Linda France from Inklingo was kind enough to let me use one of her blocks as a guide for this tutorial. Okay, let's get started drafting our block. So I'm going to do a block, new block, and I'm going to make this a patch draw block. And I'm going to start by playing with some of my settings. Now, I am just going to make the block width and height 6. It really doesn't matter for this because we're actually using the grid to drive it. For the grid, you do need to set the grid at circle. Now, for the rings, I'm going to do 4 and the spokes 12. And the 12 spokes are very important for hexagon blocks. And I'm not going to have the graph paper on. And for purposes of seeing what I'm doing, I am going to turn on the Hide Show Autofill on closed patches so we can see the patches as we're drawing them. Now I'm going to pick up the Poly Draw tool and I am going to start by doing an equilateral triangle. And so I just want to go to the center of my block and I'm going up 2 and all 3 sides are going to be the same. For my next piece, I'm going to continue using that same sort of quadrant and I'm going to draw a trapezoid. It is not, though, facing the correct direction. So I'm going to use the pick tool. I'm going to drag a box over this and I am going to use the rotate. And I'm going to rotate it 4 times. And just to make sure it clicked in place, I'm just going to move it and move it in place. And you can see now why I had to draft it the way I did, because if you look at this point right there, notice that it's not a snap point in the grid. So I couldn't have drawn it in either of these shapes in this rotation, but I can draw them in the other rotation and I can then move them in place. So now I'm going to take both of the items with my pick tool. I'm going to clone and I'm going to rotate it twice and I can move those double shapes in place and I can just keep doing that. And so once I've got them in place, I can go to my color tab and I can color my block and add it to the sketchbook. To be the first to receive new tutorials, please subscribe to my weekly newsletter at www.onpointquilter.com.